It's talking to it.
All right, y'all. Here we go. I would have wanted to put some rap music on, but hey, I can't do that. So, peace and blessings to everybody who's on watching. And what we want to do, so what we want to do in our traditional way as Muslims, we always tend to open up our meetings in prayer. So I'll just say a traditional prayer in Islam, but you are free to say those who are panelists and even those who are viewing it. You can say whatever prayer you are accustomed to silently as I say this traditional Islamic prayer. So prayer. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. All praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Master of this day of judgment in which we do now live. Thee alone do we serve, and thee alone do we beseech for thine aid. O Allah, guide us on the right path. Guide us on the path of those upon whom thou hast bestowed favors upon, and not the path of those upon whom thy wrath is brought down upon, nor the path of those who go astray after hearing thy teaching. I mean, peace, brothers. So for those who are on watching us on Facebook. We're on Facebook on my page, Willie Muhammad. You can type in Willie Muhammad New Orleans. And once again, to our brothers, the distinguished brothers from the various Masonic lodges that are on here, man, I really thank you all, brothers. And I am excited to have the opportunity to interview you all about this historic meeting that took place a year ago. I was just through my Facebook memory, it actually came on and it showed a year ago, those pictures. I shared them. So I'm excited about this opportunity, man. And to our guests, to the viewers who are watching this, we have quite a few brothers that's on the panel, but don't be concerned. God willing, we're going to hear from each of these brothers here tonight, God willing. So first, let me start off. I say it again, you can't express enough gratitude, but I want to thank each and every one of you all for this. And can we first begin by having each of you in a very brief manner to introduce yourself. And we also have our General Counsel of the Nation of Islam on too, our brother Abdul Arif Muhammad. So can we start off by introducing yourselves, stating your name and your affiliation, and even what city you're from? I know we got it. We can start from Brother Melvin. You're right next to me. I don't know if y'all can see the screen.
How's it going, man? I really appreciate you, Brother Willie Muhammad, doing this. I'm Brother Melvin Little from Progressive Global, and we're out of Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay. A-Town.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it real simple. Just Brother Little. That's what you are when you're a Mason. You're just a brother.
Yes, sir. And our next brother, Mr. Hawkins. I'll mute you. Let me see. There we go.
Greetings, everybody. I bring you greetings from John G. Jones, Grand Lodge, California. Ancient, free, and accepted Masons to everyone. Greetings and blessings and peace be unto you.
Thank you.
I'm a past Grandmaster, by the way. I didn't want to get into all that, but definitely it's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And our brother, I guess the GM stands for Grandmaster, Brother Carlos Smith, Jr.
Greetings, everyone. It's a pleasure to see everyone again a year later. Thank you, moderator, Student Minister Willie Muhammad, for agreeing to do this. Again, my name is Grandmaster Carlos Smith. I'm a representative of Most Worshipful Mount Olive Grand Lodge, Ancient Free and Accepted Masonry out of Hart, Illinois.
Good. Thank you, my brother. And our next brother, Grand Senior Johnson, as he's listed. Yeah. Can't hear you, my brother. Your Bluetooth maybe not working.
Can you hear me, brother?
Got you now, my brother.
Greetings, brother. Peace and blessings. I'm Andre Johnson from South Carolina Grand Lodge, Grand Senior Warden, under Grandmaster Rashad X. Muhammad.
Okay. Go ahead. And our next brother, Brother Marcus.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers. Assalamu alaikum, one and all. Brother Marcus W2X Hill, founder of 3 Masonic Lodges in the city of Baltimore, active F4 Lodge, proud to make my word. It's a pleasure to see you all. Assalamu alaikum.
Okay, bye.
And our next brother that we have, Brother Rashad.
I can't.
Hey, you guys. Hey.
You gotta take your mute off.
You gotta take your mute off, Grant.
There you go, Brother Rashad.
Greetings, brothers. It's a great greetings. Brother Willie Muhammad. Greetings to you. Assalamu alaikum. To all the brothers here. Brother Rashad Muhammad, most worshipful Grandmaster of the South Carolina Grand Lodge of Ancient Free and Accepted Masons. Also currently the most peaceful Sovereign Grand Commander of the Ancient Accepted Scottish Rite of the third and last degree of all hemispheres. Supreme greetings to everybody. I apologize for my attire. I'm currently working, but of course I would miss this by anything in the world, for anything in the world. And so I'm going to probably have my my camera off. I will be listening and will participate as often as I possibly can.
Yes, sir.
Because I'm currently working, but I'm really overwhelmed. I'm very pleased to be a part of this, and I thank you for doing this, brother.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you for making that sacrifice, man, despite your work schedule to be on. We appreciate it.
That's
and our next brother, Christopher Jackson.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Alaikum salam.
Greetings, everyone. I'm
Greetings.
out in the streets. I was trying to help some people and thinking that the time was different. I wasn't even paying attention to the Eastern, so I'm kind of caught up. But you know, we make time for what we need to do. I'm just Brother Jackson. I try to keep it the same way. You deal with one another as you see fit, as a white apron is, without titles or anything. I'm just Brother Jackson, Brother Christopher Jackson.
Sir, well, I appreciate that. And before my first question, before we begin to get into talking about the meeting, as many of you brothers, you know, are aware, man, people have so many misunderstandings about the Masonic Lodge. So for those who are watching, who may be tuning in, they may not be familiar with it. What would you all say are some of the most common misunderstandings that you all encounter as not only Masons, but Black Masons that you can share to dispel with some of the brothers and sisters who may be watching right now? So Brother Tony Hawkins look like he's going to respond. And if anybody else wants to, just raise your hand and we'll let you can go. Go ahead, Brother Tony.
I would say the mere fact that what I've been getting is he a Mason. And I'm here to tell you that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is truly indeed a Mason, period, bar none. He went through what other Masons would have gone through, initiated, passed, and raised to the Sub-Line Guru Master Mason. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Good. Oh. Yes, sir. Go ahead, Brother Melvin.
And back to your question when you was asked about some of the misconceptions. One of the misconceptions I see a lot of people look at is Masonry is not to affect anybody's religion. And whereas people may think it's like some organizations, they say, okay, it's a Christian organization, or maybe this, maybe that. No, if you're a Muslim, then you take your oath and obligation on the Quran. You don't even do it on the Bible. Or as a Buddhist, then you use what is available for you. So it's called VSL, which means volume of sacred law. There are 6 volumes that are used for the volume of sacred laws. People don't understand. Like, I'm not a Muslim, but I was invited to the table. So when you talk about Masonry, it is not religion orientated. It is, so that's one of the misconceptions that people get confused, because it will not affect your religion.
Thank you for that. Anybody else wanted to share and add into that some of the misunderstandings that people have that we can clear up?
Well, basically, I'm gonna sum it up with what the Messiah said. We was at his table a year ago. He said, Freemasonry represents the kingdom of God. And in the kingdom, you have various faith and understanding, but everyone is striving to work on themselves as best as they can. In Freemasonry, you're free and obligated to work your works according to your understanding of God, but you do it in a collective manner so we can serve the community. Freemasonry represents a government that serves the people in whom the government may have failed. So we feed, we clothe, we house, we visit the sick, the shut in, the various works that we do, and it does not, as Brother Melvin said, interfere with who and what we are personally in our personal faith. There's not one Mason that I've met that has not said that being a Freemason has highlighted and enhanced their understanding of their own religion and faith. So the scriptures talk very clearly about being talkers of the word and being doers of the word. And we as Freemasons, we are formed with the mortar of God's understanding to create their wall not made with hands.
Thank you. Any of the other brothers wanted to share on that? Brother Grandmaster Carlos? Go ahead, Brother Christopher.
Yes, the question is, what are the misconceptions about Masonry? The thing is, it's always been in all other times, that people think that it's a devil worshiping, some type of cult. Anything that people do not understand, there's always an issue with it, no matter what it is, no matter what the organization is, the group, what have you. Most times, we're not really a faith-based people unless you know what exactly is going on. So there's the hypocrisy that many people have. You know, they swear up and down they love the Lord, but if they don't really know, then they don't really say that and mean it in their hearts. Everything has to come from your heart. We are a society of men, and we take good men and make them better men. That's what we do as an organization. The principles of the order have to be the character of the individual. You know, if you don't have a piece of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's spirit, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's spirit, then you really aren't a fruit. So you have to have some type of spirit of what the principles are of the order. This isn't something that you can wear. It's not something that you can buy. It's confusing in that manner because that's an innovation. But this is about being able to emulate the dealings, all of the things that are the words that are on the papers. They have to be in your heart. As we talk about things being misconstrued, and there's the reason why we speak about the that's basically it, because I'll go on and on about that. I'll just leave it there.
Yes, sir. We appreciate that your comments. Is there any other brothers who would like to add to that? Some of the misunderstandings.
How you doing?
Grandmaster Carlos.
Personally, I think one of the biggest misconceptions outside of understanding what this organization is that the myth that Black men can't come together and organize a platform such as this, regardless of what type of organization that we're a part of. I personally have found that once I joined Masonry and once I really started incorporating the lessons I've learned in Masonry, I started realizing that I was a Mason prior to even joining the organization.
Wow.
Just that the individuals that I surrounded myself with, the mentors and elders and ancestors that helped groom me along the way, helped me realize I was a Mason. So prior to joining a Masonry, I had no clue of who I was until I joined Masonry and I started understanding the lessons. And then I realized I was a Mason from birth. So one of the misconceptions is that we can't come together to even discuss something on a platform such as this.
Yes, sir. Gotcha, my brother. Gotcha. And thank you for that. So let's get, as we get to talking about why we're actually here, and I got the message. So from the research that I've done before, so I know in regards to Brother Tony, it was you actually drafted the letter that began the whole process with this meeting with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So can you share what was it that made you to draft that letter, and what made you want to honor the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and what were your words expressed in that letter to him, if you can share?
Well, a few things happened with that, and everything was perfectly lined up. It had been something that I've been wanting to do with Brother Hugh Muhammad. His name has changed though, out of Mosque number 8 here in San Diego.
Correct.
And I'd written a letter, and then I went back to revamp the letter, but I sent the letter to Brother Marcus. And Brother Marcus added a little touch to the letter. And Minister was in Atlanta at the time, and I didn't know if Brother Rashid Muhammad, Grandmaster Rashid Muhammad, was doing the same thing at the same time. So with the blessings, both letters got to him at the same time. And it just really was indeed an honor. I mean, it was just, everything was just really lined up for this to actually occur. And at the time of Minister receiving the letters, he asked, could this be done by both jurisdictions? And with the help of Brother Marcus and his contacts and Brother Rashid Muhammad, Grandmaster, things began to roll. I mean, that's how it happened here on the West Coast. And the blessing was that it was the same thing was happening on the East Coast. Then we had Brother Marcus kind of working both ends of things. So it kind of really worked itself out, and it was about time for this to actually happen.
All right. Now you mentioned, for those of us who are not familiar with the terminology, you said under 2 jurisdictions. What does that mean?
That means there was 2 separate Grand Lodge bodies. One being Grandmaster Rashid Muhammad out of North Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. And then there was John G. Jones Grand Lodge out of California. So two separate areas in the country working on a letter to send to the minister at the same time, not knowing that we were both doing it.
Okay.
We had no clue of each other, Masonically speaking.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you for that. And you mentioned Brother Rashad, and you mentioned Brother Marcus. So Brother Marcus and Brother Rashad can you talk about the role that you all played in facilitating this historic meeting?
Oh, brother, briefly, Brother Rashad Muhammad, Grandmaster South Carolina speaking here. Yeah, we were in South Carolina penning a letter. We first started, honestly, back in 2007, when Brother Dennis Muhammad was the minister here in South Carolina, in Charleston, South Carolina. We were trying to get through to the minister then, along at that time, my Grandmaster, Clifford E. Hazel, was trying to also, we were working together in conjunction to trying to give the minister an honorarium to the Grand Lodge and make him an honorary member in the Supreme Council. And we labored a great deal to try to get through to that. Some things fell through and we couldn't get through to him. Then the minister was actually making his way to Charleston, and Brother Andre Muhammad, who actually is the minister here, I had penned it to him and Brother Don Muhammad, who we're familiar with and I know, and to let him know what we were trying to get done, how we tried to do it for such a long period of time. And through working with Brother Don, we were able to get it done. And then a couple months later, he got back to me and asked me were we still interested. And I said, of course, absolutely. And he let me know that there was another jurisdiction that was also penned the letter out of California, which is Brother Tony Hawkins. He used to mention Brother Tony Hawkins. And I think it was Grandmaster Sanders and John Gene Jones. And I said, yeah, I'm familiar with them. I said, what are they trying to do? And he said, well, the same thing. They're trying to give him honor the minister. Would you be interested in participating if we can orchestrate something together? I said, sure, I don't have a problem with it. He called me back and said, Brother Marcus is spearheading. I said, Brother Marcus? I said, Brother Marcus. He said, Brother Marcus out of Maryland. I said, Brother Marcus out of Maryland. I said, Brother Marcus, what's his last name? He told me, Brother Hill. And I said, Brother Marcus was a part of my jurisdiction. I know Brother Marcus for over 20 years. Doing very well, very good brother. He said, well, this should be easy then. I said, absolutely. Well, let him know we're on board. If Brother Marcus is on board, he's the bridge between both of us. I'm sure everything will be fine. We both fruit. We both love the minister. And we've been trying to get this done for a while. So all praises to the Lord. We hope that it take place. And it did. So I think Brother Marcus probably can fill in from there what took place. All I know is they contacted me back and let me know the dates on 2 dates that was readily available. Talked to my Grand Senior Warden as well as my deputy who wasn't able to make it, but we coincided with each other's schedules and we were able to make it out there.
Yes, sir. Thank you for
September
that,
27th.
Thank you. And go ahead, Brother Marcus. You want to pick up and fill in where he left off?
Yes, absolutely. Brother Minister Willie, I would like to go back for a half second. When you asked about jurisdictions, it takes 3 subordinate lodges in one state to constitute a Grand Lodge. That becomes a jurisdiction. In order for 2 jurisdictions to come together, that body has to understand what the other body is actually practicing, how they're opening and closing and meeting, and what rules and regulations they are following. And then it's up to that grand body to want to recognize the other jurisdiction. So basically, as I said to the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan, I said, it's like you have the UN at your table right now when it comes to Freemasonry. I received an inbox from Brother Tony Hawkins, past Grandmaster, who I call Pop. And Pop said, Brother Marcus, I'm looking at your page and I recognize that you are an active member of the nation. I said, yes, sir. He said, man, if I had known this, I would have came to you a long time ago. I said, well, what's going on? He said, well, let me call you and let's talk. So he said that he wanted to honor the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan and that he's been sending letters. He received no response or anything from him on that situation. So at that time, what we had done.
It makes my food sweat. That's why I don't never like the bag. Thank you.
Wait. Trying to see one of the brothers. Y'all got a.
That's Brother Christopher Jackson.
I got it.
Okay, so at that time, Brother Grandmaster and I talked, Tony Hawkins, and he explained he's been having difficulty. So I said, brother, I'm not sure if I have a ladder that reached that high, though I am active inside of the Nation of Islam. But as we were talking, a brother's face popped up in my mind, Brother Don Enoch, who I've never had a conversation with before in my life. And I inboxed my brother and I said, look, my name is Brother Marcus, Mosque number 6. And he said, Brother Marcus, I know who you are. And I said, wow, okay. I said, can you call me? He said, well, what is this about, brother? And I said, well, I have past Grandmaster Tony Hawkins, who would like to honor the Honorable Mrs. Farrakhan with Masonic tokens. And he gave me his number. We spoke about it. And the first thing he said was to have past Grandmaster do up a letter on official letterhead with a signature and outline exactly what he wants to do and hold it to about 1 page. So, of course, when I received the letter, I did some proofreading and things of that nature. And then I sent it off to Brother Don Enoch. In about maybe a day, he called me and said, I have a response for you. And I said, really? And he said, the minister will accept the honor. I said, all praise is due to Allah. I said, well, what is the next step? He said, well, the next step is we need to find out who all is coming. Since you are FOI, I need you to get the name, photos, bios of everyone and get it to me ASAP. So then I said, well, how many people can come? He said, well, maybe 3. I said, okay, 3. So then I said, oh, what about 8? I don't know where the number 8 came from. He said, no 8, maybe 3. So by the time I'm trying to call past Grandmaster Tony, Brother Don calls me back and said, okay, 8. So that's how that worked out. And the letter was accepted. And then the planning on Brother Tony's end was to find out who was going to be blessed to be a part of this delegation. So when he and I was on the phone, he said, well, brother, since 8 can go, I said, yes, sir. He said, I can guarantee 7 is going to be there, but 8 will be the ending number. So I said, I don't understand what you're saying, brother. I said, look, I'm registered in the nation. I don't want no knocks on my door for things not going right. So he and I laughed about it. I said, no, I'm serious. So he said, brother, I want you to come with me. I said, who? He said, you. I said, who? So we went back and forth for about 5 minutes. And at the end, he said, what kind of man would I be to have you open up a door for me and not allow you to walk through that door with me?
Wow.
All I could do was cry. You know, I think you're one of the first persons I called, Minister Willie, you know, to let you know that what had happened. And by God's grace, the rest is history. Brother Tony worked behind the scenes to contact Brother Melvin and some other people. And then they contacted, I think Brother Christopher was one of them. And then the rest is history. So it was actually 4 inviters to this meeting. And we had no idea who all was coming and no idea what the final count was until we got to the door of the palace.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that. And so my next questions are to our brothers, Brother Melvin, in this order, Brother Melvin, Brother Grandmaster Carlos, and Grand Senior Johnson. What were your thoughts when you all found out that you all were being invited to the meeting? We'll start with Brother Melvin, then Grandmaster Carlos, and then Brother Grand Senior Johnson.
My thoughts, I was flattered, one. And, you know, flattery is mainly an understatement, but sometimes you get what's called a once-in-a-lifetime event. And either you make it or you don't. And the day I was supposed to fly out, they had bad storms up north, and we had like 600 flights that got canceled. And they were telling them my flight was canceled. We were leaving out on Friday. We had to be there at noon the next day. And I'm like, I'm not missing this. I'm baiting. Do I need to get a rental car where I got to drive for 12 hours and still try to make it and tough it out? And I flew into Indianapolis. I got a flight to Indianapolis. Took almost about an hour to get our luggage. I had like 15 minutes to get there. And I just walked up to the guy. I said, look, I have to go see the minister at noon at his house tomorrow. I need my luggage or else I'm gonna miss the second flight. And the guy went back there, came back in 5 minutes, having my luggage. So I got in Indianapolis, got there, and it was, I'm gonna be honest, man, you know, it was a challenge to make it, And I drove as far as I can. I stopped some place got sunshine in, but I wasn't gonna miss with nothing in the world. Opportunities like that you just don't miss. As being younger, I remember driving past and seeing the minister's house and looking at it. So, you know, to have an opportunity to go in there, sit down, break bread, and really be open and talk for hours and eat and tell each other that we love us as Black men united. I can't talking about it gives because I can't really describe it, but I wouldn't miss the opportunity for nothing in the world. I'll leave it at that. It's more to it for me, but I wouldn't miss it for nothing in the world.
Yes, sir. Thank you, my brother. And we go to our brother next, brother Grandmaster Carlos.
Well, my invitation came via having a strong relationship with Brother Christopher Jackson. He actually informed me of this opportunity maybe 2 or 3 months before the actual day took place. He contacted me maybe a couple of weeks prior to the event take place and asked me to send in my portfolio. But after I sent it in, I hadn't heard anything. So admittedly, I didn't think it was going to take place. But once I got that final call from Christopher Jackson, Brother Christopher Jackson, and he informed me that it was indeed taking place, although I've had a lot of practice of being in front of my members, speaking, trying to be inspirational, I became extremely nervous, to be honest. I didn't know what to expect. Even leading up to the day that we arrived in front of the palace, saying I was humble would be an understatement. I'm born and raised in Chicago, and I passed by the palace. I've been passing by the palace the entirety of my life. But actually being in front of the palace and contemplating that I actually was going to step through the door and actually meet the minister was something that I'll take to my grave, being appreciative. In that moment, I realized that moment was bigger than me. It was bigger than meeting the minister. I realized that it wasn't just about me. It was about me being a representative of the members that called me their leader. And in that moment, I realized how important it was to not only be at the table, but actually having purpose intent on the discussion that was going to take place, or even the questions I wanted to ask the ministers and my fellow brothers that was actually at the table. So in a nutshell, it was a very humble moment for me, a very important step in us, to use our former president's words. It was a very important step in becoming the change that all of us wish to see.
Thank you, my brother. And now we're going to go to our brother Grand Senior Johnson.
Brothers, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Brother, it was a great experience, and mine was the last moment. The Grandmaster Rashad S. Muhammad called me and asked me could I accompany him on a journey to Chicago to see the minister. It was a shock. It was like I couldn't believe he was asking me to join him for it, and it was just amazing. And I thank God every day that I had that opportunity, and that opportunity I couldn't miss. And to see the brothers there and to meet the brothers that on this call was amazing in itself also. And I don't want to take anything away from that. To meet these brothers, you brothers are amazing. And I heard some of the conversation you were having. It's amazing Masonic conversation brothers can have when they come together in unity. Even though they're from various jurisdictions, it's amazing how we really are unified without knowing we're unified. Thank you. I yield.
Yes, sir. Thank you, my brother. And we have one of the other brothers who was actually there as well. He's traveling from out of town, so he's listening. Our brother Arthur Muhammad, and we were recently joined by our brother Amzi Muhammad, who will be free to talk in a few minutes. But we also have on the call with us is our National General Counsel, Brother Abdul Arf Muhammad, who was also present. And our brother was actually present. You know, I guess you were there, brother Abdul Arf, before everybody arrived. What could you tell us about just the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's spirit and about the whole meeting in itself, knowing that he was about to meet these brothers and be honored by these brothers from the different jurisdictions?
Thank you, Brother Student Minister Willie. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent and Merciful, I bear witness. There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. As a helper of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, there's a scripture in the Quran, and the minister spoke on it July 4th during the criterion, and they honor not Allah with the honor that is due him. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has, of course, served our community, the Black community, the brown community, the Native community, and all oppressed people for 65 years, 43 of those years, in the absence of his teacher, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And because of the righteousness of his work on behalf of God and the people of God, he has been hated, wrongfully attacked, plots against his life, and he has not been given the due honor that he should be given by his own. And so this event that took place was a special honor in that when you work on behalf of the cause of the people, we say all honor is due to God, but it is still good to know that what you do is appreciated by your brothers. And so this particular event with the Brother Masons coming together with their brother to honor him and to show gratitude and appreciation for him was very special to him and very touching to have been a witness, to sit there and to watch the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan as he does, listen, gain knowledge, but also, of course, to impart knowledge and wisdom. And so it was a very exciting and momentous occasion, and being blessed just to be in the room to witness that was an honor and a privilege.
Yes, sir. Thank you, brother, for your comments. And so this next question is for everybody that can talk about this. And we'll start off with, in this order, we'll go from Brother Melvin, Brother Tony, Brother Grandmaster Carlos, Brother Grand Senior Johnson, Brother Christopher, Brother Marcus, and Brother Amzi. Are you, if you're ready, then we'll go to Brother Rashad. I know for some of you all, this may have been your first time meeting the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in this type of setting. For some of you all, it was not. For those of you who were in this meeting, when you reflect back on it, what was one of the greatest and just the most profound thing that stood out to you about being in his presence of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the discussion? Was there anything that he shared that just made you think wow? And we'll start with our brother Melvin, then we'll go to Brother Tony, Brother Grandmaster Carlos, and Grand Senior Johnson, and we'll work down to everybody else.
I'm gonna get to the very end before I get to the beginning. So he left us with one message: is use his name to unite and do not use his name to divide. He gave us permission to use his name to bring all Black Masons together, to unite and not to divide in no way, shape, or form. So that's one of the most important messages to me. That is it's almost like when you play a tape cassette back over and over and over again. That is the main thing that hit me, that I know that we had. Another thing that I noticed as we got there, we all came at the same time. It was almost like everybody came from different areas at the same time. Everybody showed up at the exact same. I'm not talking about 3, 4, 5, 10 minutes, but just the almost exact same time. Then you got this long table, and it's 12 of us. And the minister's so humble how he's meeting us. He greeted us. He told us he loved us. And then after he told us he loved us, he said everybody in certain seats. It wasn't you just, these people here, these people here. It was okay, brothers, I want you here. This is just tell we love him. This is, oh, okay, I want you here. So he placed all 12 of us in specific seats. I was just like, how does he even know who we are? But he placed us all in specific seats. And then, like you said, it's only supposed to be 8 of us, but yet now 12 of us showed up. So of the 12 of us, he left us with a message. Use my name to unite and not to divide. And the fact that I'm not a Muslim and I sat at the table, you have 12 men who have, to me, who I say we got a mission. And our mission is to unite our brethren by any means necessary, but not to divide in order to do it. So that's what I got. I keep it short because it's a lot of us.
Yo, that was, you kept it short, but that was beautiful, my brother. And we're gonna go to our brother Tony Hawkins, and then we'll be coming to Grandmaster Carlos, and then I'll let you know the next ones will be coming to. Go ahead, brother Tony.
I don't know if can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, well, for me, just being in his presence, I had the opportunity to be in his presence once before, but this was like no other. I mean, to actually sit. Let me say, I was sitting to his left, and Grandmaster Rashid Muhammad was sitting to his right. So to be right next to him and listen to the message that he had to deliver to all of us was indeed special. I mean, I don't have any words to really go into detail about everybody, what they felt and how they felt, but I would tell you what, to sit and listen to him for 3 hours and not use the restroom and get up and go until your 4th hour, that was an aha moment in my life. And just to be at his table says it all.
Wow. Thank you, my brother. Thank you. And now we're going to go to our brother Grandmaster. Let me get you.
Well, for myself, there were 2 things that out of the many lessons and jewels that the minister gave that day, 2 things stuck out to me. And I asked the minister, I asked him, how is a man of your age continue to speak the message, teach the message, continue in his work, being that he deals with so much scrutiny and so much hate. And I was expecting a very long, drawn out answer, and he just simply said, because I do it with love. And that's something that resonated. That's something that resonated with me as a leader, because as a leader, especially being in the leadership position that I'm in, it's hard trying to balance your ego. And it's hard trying to balance those demons of acting out when something doesn't go your way. Even those personal issues that you deal with, it's hard not to react in a manner that you think is convenient for you at the time, but then the bigger picture, reacting to something negatively has negative consequences. But if you do it with love, even if it doesn't go your way, you know that the intent in your heart was in the right place, so you can move on to the next project. And that's something that I continue to incorporate in my daily life. The other thing that stuck out, that spoke to me that day, I don't know if everyone else experienced this, and I initially thought that, okay, Carlos, you kind of tripping here. When we were in the living room area of the palace, and the minister finally came out for the first time, I swear to you that the minister had a glow on that I had never seen on anyone. And that's when I knew that this man has been divinely touched. And this man does have a purpose for us all, because I experienced it in the flesh of what I personally was feeling during the time when he finally came around the corner. And I had never been humbled like that in my life. And I'm a military veteran. I was born and raised on the streets of Chicago. So there's a lot of situations that I went through that could humble me like that, but not like seeing the minister come around that corner for the first time. And that's when I knew that this man has been presented as a gift to the world. And I was extremely appreciative of sharing that with the members that was there with me that day.
Beautiful. Thank you, my brother. Thank you. So now we're going to come up to our brother Grand Senior Johnson, and then we'll come to brother Marcus, then brother Christopher, then we'll come to brother Amzi.
Brothers,
yes, sir.
One of the most humbling moments when he asked me, was there something that he can do for me? I'm like, whoa, hey, that's kind of amazing, Why he asked me that question, I'm still puzzled by. But and I asked him, could he figure out a way to unite all Masonic brothers? Because in my lifetime of being 16 years of Masonry, I have seen division that shouldn't be amongst brothers that say we're about brotherly love. That's what we speak on and we teach on, but somehow we lose it when we come to dealing with each other's jurisdictions. When we go to jurisdictions, it seems like we got problems with each other when we all are true Masons. And we may not have the same constitutional doctrines, but that doesn't stop us from being loving Masonic brothers. And that's what I was asking. And shortly he came back and said that what Brother Melvin spoke on, use his name to unite, not to divide. And that was shortly after me and him spoke. And that really touched me, because he actually took what I said and tried to put some action to it instantly. And for little old me to just get that kind of respect was amazing. And I was just in awe with the whole situation. I yield.
Thank you, my brother. That's very, very powerful. So now we're coming next to our brother who we have here, Brother Marcus.
Assalamu alaikum, family.
Salam.
First and foremost, what stuck out most to me was I was there. And when the Honorable Mr. Farrakhan said it took you 19 years to get to me, he chided me a little bit because I was supposed to write him a letter a couple of years ago to let him know the work that we're blessed to do in the city of Baltimore, not just being a registered FOI, but I'm blessed to be the founder of 3 Masonic lodges in Baltimore that I built from the ground up under the ancient traditions of craft Freemasonry. He kind of chided me a little bit because he said, I would have loved to met you a long time ago. And that allowed me to feel a little bad, a lot bad, because I don't ever want to disappoint my minister, my leader, and my teacher, my guide, by God, Allah's permission. The second thing that stuck out to me was how he pays attention to everything at the same time that's going on. When they brought out food, his first question was, is this from our farm? And then the sister said, is it from the farm? And the other sister said, it's from the farm. And the word got back to the kitchen and she said no. And then the word trickled back no. And just the look of disappointment on his face. And I said, man, this is a man that's very, very concerned about where the food is coming from. And if we have a farm, why the food is now coming from the farm. He paid very close attention to all of our names, the ranks and the titles. And for some of us, he had us repeat it more than once because he wanted to make sure he was respecting us properly. That for him being the Messiah, according to my understanding and studying, that was just mind-blowing how humble he is to be able to respect us who are striving to do a work in his name and with his help. The next thing I would have to say is up close and personal, being able to hear how he loves his wife in person. That was so mind-blowing. And he told us that our square and compass won't even align for us properly unless we treat the woman properly. And how he tied that in was so majestic to me because I had never thought about those 2 points before in my life, though I've been a Mason up to that time, 19 years. But he referred to his wife as his ride or die. And that was the mantra he had about Mother Khadijah. And he broke down some stories where he didn't have it all. And she never criticized him. She never beat him down. His name was never mud around the temple. The sisters always respected him, regardless to him not being able to provide various things throughout his upcoming years as a husband with so many children. He also shared with us a very intimate story of when him and Mother used to go to the trash to get food, because at that time, the market used to dump out food every day because they would get fresh produce and meats early in the morning. And he said she not once ever talked about me. I never once was called a no good nigga or anything. And he said, I wish you all would have a wife like that, a woman in your life like that. And he kept referring to her as his ride or die. But to be able to hear this thing via DVD or CD is nothing like being in his presence. I was sitting to his left in the third chair, next to Grandmaster Sanders, who's sitting next to Grandmaster Tony Hawkins, past Grandmaster. So that sticks out to my mind every day, all of those points combined. And the fact that it was 12 of us at the end, not knowing who invited who, that was very, very heavy to me, that it was 12 with him, May 13. So that's my offering.
Thank you, my brother. And now we're going to come to our next brothers to get their perspective on it. We're going to go in this order. Brother Christopher, I'm trying to get my brother's name right, Brother Amzai, if I'm pronouncing it right. If not, brother, please forgive me. And then we're going to have Brother Rashad, if he can come on. Go ahead, Brother Christopher.
Yes, sir. It is Brother Amzai.
Gotcha. Thank you.
As he always says, his daddy named him Amzai. The words that everyone has expressed, basically, you know, were all felt the same way. What pinpointed it for me, no, it wasn't my first time physically meeting him, as I had brought up to him before. We met at Sister Albertina Walker's homegoing at West Point. I used to live a few blocks away from the palace, so I always walked by the palace to get a presence of God for my day. I've always tried to keep some form of his lessons somewhere around me in my daily walks. You know, it was more or less a thing of just my own personal issue, why I never wrote a letter, you know, and I still have it. I just never wrote a letter. But he has always been my leader in all things dealing with the Lord. The one thing that stood out for me was that he asked a question because he heard me speaking about something that he had said before. And he said, brother, you face a lot of adversity, don't you? And I didn't respond. Other brothers responded with yes, because they know me. Brother Tony knows me. Brother Carlos knows me. Brother Amzai knows me. They know me personally. And only a few of the E-team that were there knew me from just seeing me in the streets from daily life. But I always had a question sometimes. Was I doing too much? Was I standing too strong? Was I standing too firm? But I always remembered that there's no ship's captain that can ever be such without rough waters. And in order for me to be who I am, I have to never compromise any principle of truth for the sake of a friendship. And scripture says that we seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave. There are many nations, tribes, and tongues that ye may know one another. Knowing one another is to understand one another. We can be very, very easy to misconstrue what unity and uniting means. See, you can have a whole box of tools, and it's called a toolbox because of what's contained in it. It's not a box full of hammers. It's not a box full of chisels. Each instrument is used differently for a specific purpose. It's a bowl of fruit, different types for different purposes and different nourishment.
Yes, sir.
So, it was always, I knew, just from me personally, I invited Amzai for a reason because of what he means to me. And I observed some things and I wanted him to be there.
Yes, sir.
For an updating, like we update our phones more than we update our purpose with God. I know what Carlos means to me, and I know what the minister means to him. And I wanted him there.
Yes, sir.
Seeing the humility on him, because he was nervous, as he said. seeing that on him shows you what certain people mean. If we all remember, and wrapping this up, if we all remember just watching the movie Malcolm X, the tears that were flowing from Denzel's face in that moment when he met the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, it's the presence, it's the anointing of him. Mm-hmm. When he came around the corner, that wasn't Ambi on his face. That's the glow from eating right, having God in you. And if you don't have God in you, it's easy to be seen. It's easy to be seen in how you are, because you cannot keep up a lie.
That's right.
So,
we appreciate that.
What I always wanted to have asked, from everyone is that when we speak about that unity and having things done at whatever cost, remember your brothers and the scorn that gets spoken about them.
Yes, sir.
And how you respond and how you straighten it when they're not there speaks volumes about how you feel about that individual.
So what we're gonna do with that, because that what you're talking about right there, brother Chris, we're gonna talk about, because several people talked about that unity. We're gonna come back to that. But I really appreciate that, and I really appreciate your passion and even your transparency, brother, to say, like, to even, like you say, you've been through some things, and I really appreciate that. And being a brother and inviting the other brothers out. So if our brother Amzai, thank you, my brother. And I don't know, if you can talk right now, come on out. If not, we'll go to Brother Rashad.
Yes, sir. Can you all hear me clearly?
Yes, sir.
All right. First, assalamu alaikum. I want to apologize to all the brothers for my tardiness.
Oh, no.
My flight was delayed in getting in. Just to backtrack when I came in on the question that I heard prior to this one, if you're asking now, as Brother Christopher said, I was invited to the meeting. He reached out to several grandmasters and past grandmasters here in Chicago that will become members of this delegation. And for me, pardon me, brother, for me, that being present there, that meeting was a day in history that would change Masonry. That day would go down in history as a day that would not just change Masonry for Black Masons. It would not change Masonry here in America, but it literally shook the foundations of Masonry around this world. And literally within a half an hour after that 7+ hour meeting was over, the word got around the country of what took place that day, what the meeting that took place. And one of the things that stood out to me throughout that entire time is how the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, in his words and guidance for all of us, he literally, and I think everybody on this phone, on this call can bear witness, he literally spoke words to each of our individual lives. He spoke words that spoke into some of the experiences that we've had throughout our lives. I've been a registered member of the Nation of Islam since April 8th, 1991. So that's a little over 21 years now. And throughout that meeting, he constantly, for me, spoke into experiences that I've had, experiences that, were shared with other brothers there. And that was not my first time being in the home of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, being in the palace or being around him, but I'm always nervous around him. And I shared that with him that day privately. And I was apprehensive for reasons that I won't speak into now, but he spoke into that, as I just previously said, because of things that I experienced in my tenure as a member of the Nation of Islam since my senior year in high school. And for me, his words throughout that meeting gave me a peek into my personal life and why the God allowed me to be on this planet, why he allowed me to be at that meeting. And he gave me my marching orders that day with something that I had wrestled with for all of my life. And we spoke after that privately a couple of times. But again, that meeting literally changed the entire world of Masonry, and it has not been the same since. And I think that I can speak for everyone on here. It's been a struggle for all of us with one of his instructions, which was to unite throughout, or regardless to whatever jurisdictions that we're in, whatever obstacles that are in our place. We have to struggle hard to unite as Black men, as Black Masons, and as Brother Melvin reminded us of, use his name to unite our people. And that's what's most important right now, regardless of whatever's going on with us individually. Our people and unity is what's most important.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for that, my brother. Now we're going to go to our brother Rashad. Can you add on?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, it was one of the most epical events of my life, my adult life. I've been in the nation since 1984. I've got an opportunity of being in and around the minister, but not in the capacity that we were, in the intimate setting that we were in. It was life-changing. I think that every brother here is a leader within their own right, and but there's nothing like being around the leader. I believe he's inspired most of us here on this call throughout our life before we ever met with him, and then even more so during that meeting, particularly for me. Like Brother Carlos stated, you know, upon seeing him come and the atrium right there in the middle, come around that corner and seeing him, the glow and the energy that you felt from him, I think it resonated with all of us. You know, we all have the divine spirit within ourselves. And when you come in contact with that in another individual at that capacity that he has it, it's magnetic. It changes you. You know, you read about in the Quran and Bible about how when certain members wanted to touch the skirt of Jesus, or certain people being around certain prophetical individuals throughout life. And I'm not trying to mystify and spookify anything, but the energy that they possess is divine, and it illuminates the room, and it even illuminates you as well. So immediately upon me seeing them, and they were about to have everyone seated, I excused myself because, you know, I was a little overwhelmed, you know, to be honest. And I think I only admitted that to maybe one or two brothers here on this call. I don't know if they remember, I kind of asked to use the restroom, and the fruit took me to the restroom because I didn't want to also seem like we were jockeying for any position or any seating. I've always tried to be humble in my approach to anything, particularly of that magnitude. I believe that whatever the Creator has for us is going to be for us. And I just wanted to get myself together and come out. And as long as I was able to sit at the table, which is the table that he used to hold counsel with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad sitting at the helm. He told many stories of that, where Muhammad Ali sits there when all of these Warfdeen Muhammad, when all these great people had dinner at that same table. He stated, this is the same exact table that's been there for years. When I've listened to stories growing up, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20-year-old NOI, listening to these stories and watching these videos of the minister telling me about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad calling them to dinner, and all these people, we were actually sitting at that same table with that same energy, with those same giants. So I was even more thrown back and kind of overwhelmed when we came back and he had us, like I said, Brother Tony Hawkins, Pastor Grandmaster, was sitting at his immediate left, and the seat was there waiting for me at his immediate right. And you know, one of the questions that we all ask certain questions, and one of the questions that led into him elaborating on Mother Khadijah Muhammad was something I wanted to know from him, which is how all these years were you able to sustain your family and sustain and teaching the nation and all of us at such a high energy, and still being able to keep that love in your family and being able to balance that out as a leader. For us, I don't know, but I know for me, holding certain seats and being a business owner and trying to keep your family together, and with dealing with all the in and outs of that, it can become kind of complicated. And to see him do it in the capacity he has from a world level, from a world scale, I had to ask him, how? And that's when he talked about Mother Khadijah Muhammad and about having, like Brother Marcus said, her being his ride or die. And he said it wasn't for her. She kept the family together for him. He said, brother, I was working. He laid out his week as far as going to the mosque on a Monday for FOI, and then Tuesday, and then Wednesday, and teaching, and then just laying out all of the days. And really, he might have had maybe one day. And he said it was just Mother Khadijah that able to sustain the family and kept things going and understood what he was doing. And that meant a lot to a lot of us. It helped a lot of us. Made me look at my wife a lot more different. And he did say, yeah, it would be great for us to have a woman like that as a leader, to be able to move forward and do all the great things that the Creator have for all of us. Having someone on your side that understands not just you and love you, but also love the mission just as much as you do, is what makes it all possible. So, yeah, we.
Thank God, brother. Thank God, brother.
I think that we all was inspired
beyond words about meeting the minister. Like I said, it's been years that we've been trying to get an honorarium over to him, and let him know how much we love and appreciate the great work that he do under the guidance of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And again, also, as Brother Andre mentioned, my Grand Senior Warden, for all the brothers that are there, we were able to connect and act like we knew each other, although some of them we've never met before.
Sir.
And that's the beautiful unification of what Freemasonry represents in terms of friendship, morality, and brotherly love. I've never seen it in my travels in and out of the country, no matter where I've been, exuberated in a mannerism that it was, as it was there. And it's been our inspiration, many of us, that wanted to try to have that same love universally among all Masons. And that's what the minister was stating about taking my name to unite, and not separate, divide.
Yes,
we would love to be able to see that done. And I wanted him to see that done before he closed his eyes,
yes,
that we took and did something with it.
Gotcha. And we're going to talk about that. And so thank you, my brother Rashad. And I know that the brother Marcus, brother Tony, brother Rashad, brother Amzi, if I'm pronouncing it right again, you all were some of the brothers that bestowed honors on the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, which we're going to talk about. But before I come to you all, I would like to get in this order, brother Melvin, brother Carlos, brother Senior Johnson, brother Christopher, and brother Abdul Arif. What was that experience, Arif? That experience watching
brother Melvin, brother Carlos,
of watching them bestow these honors on the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Like, what does that do for you seeing that? And we'll go in this order, brother Melvin, brother Carlos, brother Senior Johnson, brother Christopher, and brother Arif. And then we'll come to the brothers who actually bestowed it on him. Go ahead, brother Melvin.
Can you repeat that again? I'll make sure I answer correctly.
So, what was it like for you to witness the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan being bestowed these Masonic honors?
It was actually priceless to see. I mean, some things is what you call a once in a lifetime thing. And what a lot of people don't understand is that the master teacher, Brother Farrakhan, he's got 2 cable toes. That's when people are made with you as well. Cable toes so it wasn't just him that was made a Mason. There was 2 others that was made with him. They got the foundational 3. They didn't get the other degrees that the master teacher had got. So when Brother Farrakhan received his foundational 3 in Masonry without receiving the foundational 3 degrees, which is your 1st, 2nd, and 3rd degree, you can't hold any weight of any degrees. So the fact that I was able to be there, not only didn't hear it from mouth to ear from somebody, I was a witness. I can tell it to my kids. I got an experience that really can't be explained, but to be there was angelic. And I was actually shocked about how much about Masonry that he knew.
Wow.
And before he got his foundational 3 degrees of something he said that really, really touched me. He said, who do you answer to? He asked us that a couple of times. He said, who do you answer to? He wanted to make sure that there was no organization that was out of Europe that we answered to. He wanted to make sure that each organization stood on its own right. And so being able to witness that he was humbled by some brothers that was humbled just to be in his presence. He was humbled to be in our presence. I don't understand it, but yet I do. So I'll just get to the point. To witness that is an experience that really can't be described. You can be there and see it, but without really experiencing it, some guys, you know, you'll have doubt from hate, or some guys say, why not, why me? But when you see that, and you see this man bestowed awards on him from a Masonic standpoint, no one can say that Brother Farrakhan, the master teacher, Minister Farrakhan, did not put the life work in to earn the degrees that was bestowed upon him.
Beautiful. Thank you.
He had the body of work.
Yes, sir. Thank you for those words. And we're going to go to our brother Grandmaster Carlos. So what was it like, brother Carlos, to actually see the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan being honored in that way?
For me to actually see him get bestowed those honors, it sort of was an opportunity for me to self-reflect. And I was just, and just like Brother Little said, it's like words cannot, I can't think of any words to actually explain what was going through my mind at the time and what was going through my heart. I was just very appreciative of being in the moment, to know that he was going through the same ceremony that I went through, was, you know, words can't explain that. The biggest thing for me that spoke out, the biggest thing that spoke out to me was to see just how appreciative the minister was. And, you know, and I can't say that enough. I mean, there was a moment where I actually saw tears in the minister's eyes of being around us and being bestowed with these honors. And he even shared a story of how he wasn't bestowed honors from another organization. And I won't go into detail about that. He even shared those stories. So for him being in that moment and to see the humility on this man was, you know, something that, I don't know. And I apologize for struggling for words.
No, you're not struggling, my
brother. Being on this phone call, you know, it puts me back at the table a year ago. And to reflect on hearing the words being spoken from our brothers, hearing the lessons being spoken from the minister, seeing my brothers, seeing just how they were in that moment is, you know, it's just something that I'll be extremely appreciative of for the rest of my life.
Yes, sir. And thank you for your words, my brother. And we're going to go now to our brother, Grand Senior Stevenson, as I refer to him as. What was it like, my brother, to see and witness the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan be bestowed the honors from your Masonic brothers?
Brother, it was a humbling moment. It was a blessed moment because the minister was truly humbled to be in our presence just as much, or probably more than we were humbled to be in his. And to show the humility of a man, that man of that stature, to do that is really amazing for somebody to bring themselves down like that. That's just amazing. And when we when we saw the awards given to him was one thing, but the most important part to me was when he was in the room and he got the passwords, the grips, and things of that nature, the ceremony. He was really humbled to receive those, and he ensured that he understood everything that was being done. And that you just don't see with our own sometimes it's coming across. So for him to be able to really want to understand and really have full grasp of what he's doing was amazing. And I was humbled to be there, and I was just amazed. It was an amazing moment. And I have to yield on that because it's like the brother said prior to me, it takes you back to that moment and it's a touching moment. I yield, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you, my brother. And now we're going to go to our brother Christopher. And then after brother Christopher, we'll have brother Arif. And then we'll come to the brothers that actually bestowed the honors on the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and we'll talk about that. Go ahead, brother Christopher. You're on mute. Let me unmute you.
A lot of us are basically, you know, none of us are lost for words. It's such an enjoyment for what happened. What I think so many people, whether it's some of us or even out in society, really don't get is that the minister is such a humble, basic guy in how he likes things done. He felt so good because so many of us shun him. You know, Quran speaks on that. We say we with you until the heat turns up, and then we disavow any knowledge of you, paraphrasing it somewhat. But he felt good about that. I noticed that he intently read, because he knows Latin. He intently read the awards and the words and the names, because he wanted to really understand and grasp what he was getting and what was being said. And he was vehemently about it. Can this be taken away from? No one can take this away from you if they didn't give it to you, and the one that can give it to you wasn't there. So the fact that he was appreciative, the fact that he cared so much about an organization that he's heard a lot about, had studied on, but wasn't a part of. You know, many people can say they in the nation, but really not in the nation, or they talk stuff, as we all know. But many people can say that certain things, but he felt good about it. And I really took away from that, as he said, as he's always said before, that you can't really shun him the way that you do. And then when something happens, the first person you're looking for is him to see what he said. You know, all of us, our Facebook friends list jumped up 1,800. Wow. You know, even to this day, when we put out the little flyer at the 11 o'clock hour, there was never a lot of, oh, good job. Yeah, I want to see, you know, we want to be a part of it. We want to just at least observe, however it is. It's always the negativity. You know, it's always, I used to see a sign that says, it's a lot easier to disobey God than to obey him. And it's a lot easier to just shun the minister than it is to be arm in arm with him. And I told him when we spoke about the pictures, I'm trying hard to be in good company and be banned on Facebook like he is.
Yes, sir. Thank you, my brother, for that. And now we're going to come to our brother Arif. You were there, brother Arif, to witness this. Like, what were your thoughts about and just seeing the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan? Well, let me ask you this, because when I would imagine that when the brothers left to go back to their homes, you were there with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. You were in settings with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan post this meeting. Can you share with us and the brothers, like, the personal feeling that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan expressed about this honor?
Well, again, thank you. Let me first say that as I'm listening to all the brothers, a thought came to mind. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan that he would reach the pinnacle of success in this world's life. And he said to him, and when you get there, I hope that you remember who brought you there. And I'm using that example because those of us who are around the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan are watching the acknowledgements. You see, as one brother said earlier, he has earned the acknowledgements. He's truly earned it over 65 years, but it does mean something when your people acknowledge it, because it's not just acknowledging him, it's really acknowledging God. So I want to say that as I observed it, to me, the beauty of acknowledging the great honors and degrees and other honors bestowed to the minister on that day was an acknowledgement and a validation of what he has earned by doing God's work. And so it was a great honor to see men come together who had that sight to see a man who is divinely anointed among us, as one brother talked about, the light that comes from him. We are truly in the presence of a human being, but imbued with the Spirit, the Holy Spirit of Almighty God. And so it was a joy for me to see our minister to be acknowledged for what he has earned in this life of sacrifice. And we have seen others, of course, honor him, but this was a great one. And I can tell you, Brother Willie, prior to the event itself, and being in different settings with the minister, as this was evolving to take place, we were having discussions about the importance of such a meeting and honor. And I remember specifically the discussion about the napkin, you know, the highest honor. And I don't want to mess this up because I don't want to sound unknowledgeable, but the lambskin apron.
Yes.
Representing the purity, which really represents God. That was one of those emblems and symbols. You know, we are looking at a man who is a master teacher, and he has demonstrated among us that he has been given a master grip, that he may lift Hiram of Biff out of the shallow grave that was where he was buried in the northwest corner. So to see the honor of the brothers who understand this science, who understand this theology, if you will. I know it's not with regard to a particular religious tradition, but we're talking about righteousness. We're talking about the word, and it's all around. So it made me joyous for him because he suffered so much among us, and to see him being given the honor that is due him was very touching, and that's why he was touched, and how he was so deeply humbled by the honor that was being bestowed upon him. But it certainly was an honor that he has worked his whole life to earn. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, my brother. And so we know that I mentioned brother Marcus, but it was actually a brother Mark, who's not here, who was one of the people that bestowed the honors on the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So first, I would like to get Brother Marcus Hills, brother Marcus Muhammad, get his view on the significance of being honored. Then we're going to actually get words from the brothers that actually bestowed the honors on the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and what does that mean? So go ahead, Brother Marcus.
First and foremost, I want to give thanks to Almighty God, Allah, Master Father Muhammad, for this opportunity. You know, me and these brothers, for most of them, we had a chance to meet at the doorstep of the palace. And to just relive that moment with my brothers is doing something to me. I can feel the presence of our Father just by listening to your voices, and collectively is bringing us and bringing me completely back to where we were. Well, as a student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, by way of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, it felt so grand to me that I was able to give an offering from the Masonic body of work. That was my gift to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, was being able to let him know that because I am a student, I've been blessed to have How to Eat to Live classes incorporated into the 3 Masonic lodges in Baltimore. I've been blessed to have the Holy Quran given to Masons, regardless to their interfaith. All of this is because the minister said, our people are in a condition because they've been taught in a wrong manner. So not being afraid to offer what he has offered unto me and what has benefited myself and my children and my family, it feels good that the brothers trust me enough to want to read How to Eat to Live and how to want to read the Quran to get familiar with it. When I was in a room privately with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I mentioned to him that Shriners is like a college. And when you graduate from high school, if you do not wish to go to college, then it doesn't mean that you're a bad person or a dumb person or a stupid person. That's just your choice. But being a Shriner is a choice that's offered to those who make it to the 32nd degree, though I've heard rules and regulations have changed for some jurisdictions. But I said to the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan that many do not partake in the Shriner because they do not wish to have the Holy Quran. They are very comfortable with the Bible. And he looked up at me and said, well, we have to teach them, son. Wow. He said, we have to teach them that Jesus is mentioned in the Quran. I said, yes, sir. Mary is mentioned in the Quran. I said, yes, sir. He said, so if they Catholic or Christian, they should be familiar with the book. I said, yes, sir. So just being able to look into his eyes and have him looking into mine and being able to embrace him, he would always grab my hand and rub my hand. And I would say, oh my God, he's touching me. He's touching me. Just knowing that the man who I've been serving for 19 years, without having, that's my first time meeting the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan, though he's been to Baltimore and Washington, D.C. area several times. But this was my first time. And to know that he was going to be bestowed the highest honors in Freemasonry, and then later be made a full-fledged Mason. Words were just inadequate. I was just quiet, watching, listening. I appreciate the journey because it brought me to Brother Grandmaster Carlos and Brother Christopher Jackson and Brother Amzah Muhammad, Brother Melvin Little. I didn't know these brothers beforehand, and Brother Johnson. I knew Brother Rashad for 20 years, and I knew Brother Tony Hawkins because we have done some work together a few years ago. But to be able to meet these brothers, feel their spirit, see tears in their eyes, recognize the nervous energy, but recognize that they were standing strong. And when I asked the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan if it was okay to post the pictures, he said, well, what harm will come to you? And I said, oh, there's no harm going to come to me because I'm an FOI before anything else. And he said, yes, sir. But he said, as Brother Melvin said, utilize the pictures to unite the disfragmented Masonic world when it comes to the Black man. We should not be separated according to jurisdictions and different rituals. We should be able to come together. So it was an honor and it was a privilege to see a man who gave me spiritual life. The Bible says about Jesus that he would give you life and life more abundantly. So that's life on two separate degree levels. He's going to give you a knowledge to help you to prolong your physical life, but he's also going to give you a knowledge to help you to prolong your spiritual life. Because once you develop the mind of God, you should develop a healthy respect for life so that your life can live long to share the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of God himself. So that is my offering on that subject. I pray that you all receive something from it. Assalamu alaikum.
All right, so we're gonna have this next question. This is gonna be for the brothers, as I said, who bestowed the honors, and then we're gonna end out and close out on a question that several of you all have mentioned about what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan asked. So we'll first start with our brother. I don't want to mess up your name again, my brother. Brother Amzah. Brother Amzah. We're gonna go with Brother Amzah, Brother Tony, and Brother Rashad. And let me say this: like, I saw the pictures. The pictures are very beautiful, but I don't know what none of that stuff means, man. So can you, for the common person, can you help us to understand what the significance is, like the lamb's apron, the lamb's apron? I don't know. So help us out. We're gonna go from Brother Amzar, Brother Tony, and then Brother Rashad. And then this last question, I want to get everybody's input on this. Go ahead, my brother.
Yes, sir. Again, I was not there on my own behalf. I represented one of the Masonic jurisdictions that was present. Brother Christopher Jackson was a member of the jurisdiction that we presented the Minister of the Degrees, and as well as Grandmaster Carlos Smith. The three of us, we bestowed the minister upon the degrees from the 1st to the 96th degree, which encompasses 5 different Masonic bodies. So the 1st through the 3rd degree represents ancient craft masonry, which Brother Melvin Little said was the foundation, or is the foundation of masonry. From there, representing our Grand Lodge, Most Worshipful St. John's Grand Lodge, we bestowed upon him the honor of past Grand Master of Masons for the state of Illinois and Most Worshipful St. John Grand Lodge. And representing our Supreme Department for the Royal Ark, the General, the Supreme for our Royal Ark, we gave him all of the Royal Ark degrees, which encompasses 4 degrees. Then, and these are the Yorkright degrees. So after Ancient Craft Mason, we gave him the Yorkright degrees, those degrees that consist of the 4 in the Royal Ark. Then we gave him the 3 degrees that make up Cryptic Masonry, which is another branch of the Yorkright. Then we gave him the degrees of the Knights Templar. From there, we gave him the Scottish Rite degrees, which is the 4th to the 33rd. Brother Carlos is 2nd in command of our Scottish Rite Supreme Council. So he oversaw that. And from that point, we gave him the shrine, made him a member of the Mystic Shrine. And the 5th body, which we gave him, is called the Primitive Rite. And that goes literally from the 1st up to the 99th. But we gave the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, we gave him all the way up to the 96th degree. And in between there, we made him and bestowed upon him the title of past Grand Potentate over the Shrine, past Most Illustrious Grand Master in the Cryptic degrees. We gave him the Anointed High Priesthood title in the Yorkright, meaning the Royal Ark, and of course the 33rd in the Scottish Rite. And in the Primitive Rite, we made him a most illustrious Sovereign Grand Conservative General, which makes him the 3rd one in our Primitive Rite jurisdiction. So in numbers, he now has the 1st through the 96th degree, which covers 5 different Masonic bodies.
Wow.
And we all, and myself, Brother Christopher Jackson and Brother Carlos Smith, we were authorized by our Grand Lodges and each of our Supreme Departments to bestow those honors upon the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And again, doing that shook the foundations of Masonry around the world. And for those after that who said, well, he's not a legitimate Mason, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is a legitimate, authentic Mason. And everybody on this call will stand on that and defend that. They cried, oh, that was photoshopped. Those pictures aren't real. We were there. We did it. So that's from our various Supreme Departments and Masonic jurisdictions, the 1st through the 96th degree, encompassing 5 different Masonic bodies.
Wow. Thank you, my brother. And
You're
now
welcome.
we're going to go to our brother Tony. Go ahead, my brother. Let me get you right, man. Oh, there we go. You good?
Am I good?
Yeah, we good, bro. You good money.
All right, then. So after that took place, I would say myself, Brother Marcus, Brother Melvin Little, Brother, his deputy grandmaster, if I'm not mistaken, was there. And who else was there? Myself, Brother Melvin Little, my grandmaster, Kevin Sanders, who's not present with us today. So it was 6 of us who went into a private quarters with the minister, Louis Farrakhan, now Brother Farrakhan. And in these private quarters, there was Brother Don, who was there present, and I can't think of his official bodyguard that was there. That was there with
Brother Wazir.
What's his name?
Brother Wazir,
Okay.
formerly known as Brother Donald Muhammad.
Yeah.
Yes. So they was there. And at this particular setting, the minister was indeed initiated, passed, and raised on the 5 points of fellowship. And that was beautiful. For those who was there and able to witness it, Brother Don and the other brother that was there, they were also done the same. So when people talk about what actually took place after the honors was done, that is what was taking place. Yes, the minister is all there is to being Freemason amongst his brothers. And there's no doubt about it. So right now, it gives me chills just to think about the fact that I was one of the 6 that was in the room that was able to go through the process of him being initiated, passed, and raised, and on the 5 points of fellowship. A lot of people can't say that. So with that being said, Brother Rashid Muhammad was there, and he can now go forth, and it was just beautiful. It was just beautiful.
Wow. Thank you, my brother. Now we go to our brother, Brother Rashad.
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Again, pardon me, brothers. Working a little bit.
Listen,
but,
man, we got you.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it was an outstanding day. Yes, we were able, from the South Carolina Grand Lodge, we gave the most honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan the certificate for Master Mason certificate. He has a degree in all 3 degrees from the South Carolina Grand Lodge. And also, as most future Sovereign Grand Commander, Scott Wright, we gave him the honorary degrees from the 4th to the 32nd, and as well as the honorary degree of the 33rd degree. We were very fortunate to be able, with Brother Tony Hawkins, Grandmaster Sanders, Brother Marcus, Brother Melvin, Brother Andre Johnson, my Grand Senior Warner, were able to not only give the minister the certificate, but give him the grips, the signs, the passwords of all 3 degrees, 5 points of fellowship. And like we said, it was very humbling to be able to raise him up on 5 points of fellowship with the Lions Bar, but also to watch the minister to be able to say, hold on, let's stand back. Let me get this first degree. Let me get my first step right. And to see him make his first step as an inner apprentice and 2nd degree, and then a Master Mason, and do his signs. And some of the pictures you might have seen with him, I have a picture of him looking down when he's actually giving me the 3rd degree grip. It's nothing, words can't express how that felt to be able to be a part of that. I was very fortunate to bring my brothers, 2 of my brothers who are retired police officers in Freemasonry. I was able to bring my father into Freemasonry, but to be able to bring my spiritual father into Freemasonry, a man that gave me spiritual life, a man that helped bring me out of some of the darkest parts of my life growing up in Brooklyn. I used to listen to his tapes all day, every day. Kept me out of trouble sometimes. And to be able to now bestow upon him the greatest honor from me, and in a position that I was able to acquire as a Freemason, I attribute it mostly to him. Being able to rise up in the ranks of Freemasonry, I always say, no matter where I'm at over the world, I give credit to him, because it's through this teaching that made it easy for me to understand Freemasonry, to be able to apply the teachings of Freemasonry. And it's only right to be able to bestow upon my leader the honors of making him a Freemason. That's one of the honors that we have as Grandmasters, as most future Sovereign Grand Commanders. And there are other people around the world that are able to get that honor, judges and other people. Why would people have a problem with him getting that honor? There's so many people that we've given it to who've done way less. And so I stand on a square in regards to that. I don't get any feedback too much from anybody in regards to it. People know how I feel about that, and I'm never going to change.
Yes,
and so I'm fortunate to be able to do that, and I'm very happy to be a part of that. And with the 11 brothers that was there, it's just, how do we wind up with 12 men that didn't know each other? We didn't know what numbers were coming. How do we wind up with 12 men sitting around a table with a master teacher for 7 hours?
It's called favor.
How did that happen? We wasn't supposed to be there for 7 hours. It wasn't supposed to be 12 of us there. 12. 12. We were for different. We didn't know who was coming. 12. Right. And sat there with him for 7 hours. You know, and there's a lot that come from it, and we're working to try to make what took place greater than just that day and the memories of us and what we have. We're hoping that brothers will understand the importance and the significance of what took place and step aside from each other's egos and who we are in the jurisdiction, no matter how large our jurisdiction is, and how far traveled we are, to understand the importance and the universality of uniting as one. That's something that we have to be able to do. Freemasonry is not a fraternal organization, it's a spiritual one. We're not religious. We're a spiritual institution. And so that's something that permeates through each individual, through each jurisdiction. In order to be a Mason, you have to believe in the higher power. You have to believe in the Creator. And in every religion, there's always 5 principles. There's always belief in the Supreme Being. There's always belief in the Holy Book. There's always belief in the angels, fasting, zakat, and prayer. And so no matter what you call the Creator at the time that it was revealed to your particular prophet, you got to understand, for the universality and omnipotence of the Creator, you cannot put them into a box. And so Freemasonry takes all religions, the best of brothers who have that mature understanding, those who are spiritually mature, understand about the power of unification, the power of coming together as one. And as Masons, when we put the lambskin apron on, which is a representation of innocence, it's a badge of a Freemason. And we wear it because we're supposed to be workers of the craft. We're supposed to be about God's work. We are sons of light, sons of God. And when we accept our birthright and take our oath and obligation to do the work on this plane of existence, then how can we be limited to just this group of people, that group of people, or, you know, how do we not expound past just our jurisdiction and not connect? How much more powerful will we become, or we could be, if we unite as one in order to do that great work? There's no way that one jurisdiction can do it. Yes, sir. So it was an honor to us to be able to do that, and I'm thankful to be able to meet some of the brothers that we have met along that walk, and we're going to continue to keep that walk going and keep that light burning. And I thank all the brothers here for the opportunity, and you as well. And we love the Minister Farrakhan, and he is who we say he is, which is a master teacher. He is a master Mason. He is all those things, and then some. That brother was Anzime, or what the brother before him had just stated in terms of title, but it's beyond titles, because titles are just used to feed the ego, but very seldom describe the individual. The description of who the minister is far beyond what we can be given. This is just a token of our love and a token of what he is, to bestow upon the world and say, we recognize this brother and we with him. Yes, sir. And he is with us.
Appreciate it. And if you all will give me grant me this favor, I want to ask this question, because as a student minister and a follower of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and a student of Scripture, you know, I often see the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's actions paralleling the walks and the actions of men as Aaron and Moses and Prophet Muhammad and even Jesus. You know, when I think about it, when I first heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I was blind, but now I see. You know, at one time I can stand up and ready to speak before anybody, but at one time I was afraid to speak because I was mute. I didn't have anything to say, but he gave me something to say. So when I read the scripture, this man has helped me to come from being mute and open up my ears. So when you all talk about I've heard it referred to as the apron, the lambskin, and also how his work has earned. Can you all talk more about, and this is open to a few brothers, and then we're going to get to the last question, just the significance, more about the significance of him getting the lambskin and that meaning. Just raise your hand and I'll point out whoever wants to do it. Go Brother Christopher, anybody else? Get Brother Melvin. I see you smiling, Brother Melvin. Get you anybody else? We'll get Brother Christopher, Brother Melvin, Brother Marcus, and then we'll come to this last question, which is a very significant question. Go ahead, Brother Christopher.
Assalamu alaikum again.
Alaikum salam.
The minister had asked me before we left to get him detailed information about the lambskin apron, and it's important. So I told him, if you'll get it, I'll bring it back. You know, he said, oh, I get my mail. He said, I get all my mail, and Brother Rasul told me to get it to him, so I emailed it. But in the periodicals of what we learn, the lambskin is an emblem of innocence, but it's a badge of a Mason. The badge, it's like what we do when we stand up in a suit. We button our suit jacket because that's our armor. The badge of a Mason is what we use to keep ourselves clean when we're working in the quarries. That's the operative words of it. But it's more honorable than the star or garter. It's more ancient than the Roman eagle, the golden fleece, or the Roman eagle. So these types of things have time immemorial bestowed upon them. Everyone knows what that simple white lambskin apron means, just like everyone knows what you're doing when you have on all white when you go to make Hajj. That's all I got.
Yes, sir. Thank you, my brother. And
where you go?
Thank you for sharing it. Then we're going to come to our brother. Go ahead, Brother Melvin.
Brother Chris, that was beautiful. One of the things that we actually teach is that the lambskin, it represents purity. Purity of one, where one is always trying to be to a point where you want to perfect yourself. And when you start your walk out of masonry, you know, you're stripped of everything. But when you first come in, we give you that lambskin because you are still young, you're still pure. And through our walk, we strive to get perfection. So masonry, we call it having like a rough ash. It's like a rough rock. And as you grow in masonry, you become a smooth ashlar. Once you become a smooth ashlar, that means that you're gaining knowledge, which is light. And in the process of doing that, you can see why one becomes so pure. Like I noticed in Farrakhan's last speech, he had that white on.
July 4th.
That's the purity, see. Some people only got one thing from it, but first off, when the man stood up, I noticed his pureness. So for what we teach is that the lambskin represents the purity of one soul. That's what we teach. So every Masonic organization is different, but we're all the same, but all of our principles are built on love, faith, hope, and charity. That's all I got.
Thank you, my brother. Then we're gonna come to Brother Marcus, and then I want to get to this last question that we want to ask. Go ahead, Brother Marcus.
And it's hard coming on these two brothers, my Lord.
Come on, Brother Marcus.
But as my brother stated, it means different things to different jurisdictions, all of those included. But when you deal with the apron, you have to deal with the location of the apron that it covers. And when you look at the apron is worn at the navel, because as the Honorable Minister Farrakhan teaches us, that's where all of our trouble begins, at the appetite. The appetite for lust, the appetite for food, the appetite for things that which we're not supposed to have, that we have to build up our will strong enough to be able to hold on to the rope of God. By his grace, it'll never, ever fall away from us. So when you're looking at the apron reflects victory over your lower self. And when you utilize the lambskin, it means that you utilize the teachings of Christ. You dip your evil, your transgression, you dip your rough ashlar in his blood, and it came out white as snow. But it is to symbolize, in some jurisdictions, the aprons change colors the higher you go. And the colors represents that it's a celebration of your mastery over your lower self. And as the Honorable Minister Farrakhan has shared with us in the public as well as behind closed doors, that when he was coming up, many actresses and singers wanted to minister. And he would share with us how he would turn them down. And many of them thought he was queer. But he was very upright to his wife. He's honest with his wife and he loves his wife. And that could not be tempted. One thing the Honorable Mr. Farrakhan teaches us is that the last fire we have to control is the fire of temptation. He is well deserving of not just the white lambskin apron, but all the aprons included, because it's a victory that we have a man from God who represents God, not just with his mouth, but in his practice daily. No one can say Farrakhan hit on me. Farrakhan met me at the hotel, the gas station, around the corner. None of that has been his track record. So he is a man who is of God because he shows us the actions and ways of God. And what we're missing in our community is a good example. So in that wise, the apron represents all of what my brother said, but inclusively, we have to deal with the nature and how he's able to subdue his passion to reflect God. Assalamu alaikum.
Thanks a lot. All right, my brother. So we coming to the close on this, and here's the question. I would like everybody to participate in this question. It's a two-part question. You all have mentioned how the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan asks that you all go about uniting the various lodges, right? The Masonic lodges. So my question to you all, the first part of it is, how do you think that can happen? And the second part is, specifically, what specific role can you personally play in uniting, making what he asks come into existence? So I'll repeat that. From your perspective, what could be done to create a greater collaboration and unity amongst the lodges? And two, what can you specifically do to make that a reality? So we'll go in this order. We'll start with our brother Carlos. Then we'll go to brother Grand Senior. Then we'll go to brother Christopher. I keep up, ma'am. Brother Am. Zai. Then brother Tony. Then brother Melvin. Brother Marcus. And then brother Abdul Arif.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
I'm gonna keep mine very short and very simple. I appreciate all of the lessons that my fellow brothers have been sharing, and I will promise you that I'm going to incorporate that in my teaching and how I carry my life on going forward. So I appreciate that, guys. My answer to that is very simple. We fancy ourselves as master builders, and we deal in the construction of not only ourselves, but our construction of our fellow man. In that same vein, contractors like to use the term of measure twice and cut once. So all I ask is that we use that same ideology when we deal not only with individuals that want to follow us, but those individuals that don't want to follow us. You see, we quickly want to shun them and give up on them. But as the minister has operated his entire life, he doesn't just shun individuals. He tries his best to work with those individuals, regardless of what type of scrutiny or what type of criticism or hate that individual may be given to the minister. So I just ask that us as leaders, whether the individuals that may be watching this Facebook Live, let's measure twice with our fellow brothers before we decide to cut them off. I also want to say, I am aware that, like they said before, this is going to cause a cascade of criticism and scrutiny from those that don't want this to happen. So I will say this to those individuals: I'm going to pray for you even harder, and I'm going to love you even more. And I think that's what it takes for us to get us on the right path of unity. I really
Beautiful, my brother. Go ahead next, our brother Grand Senior. Y'all take off your mute. Still on mute, my brother. There you go. There we go. Wait, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me, brother?
Gotcha.
Okay. My apologies, brother. When they come together as one, it takes real work. And work has to start at the top by saying it's in the Mason communities, the head kind of dictates how the bodies flow through a jurisdiction. And I'm speaking grandmasters and, you know, past grandmasters and deputy grandmasters. If they can collectively build a network of channels of talking and speaking to each other and start to see how they can bring the different jurisdictions together with the separation of ideologies of what we do, then I think that'll be the starting point and the most important part of building this bridge for it actually to come to life. Anything else, in my opinion, and it's a very humble opinion, I don't see it happening unless that happens. Those men have to humble themselves and be able to work within each other. Like my man said, it's like the UN coming together. And you have to respect each other's jurisdiction, but at the same time, have a common ground and make all efforts to get to that common ground of unity and brotherly love. And once that happens, it'll slowly trickle down through the worshipful masses, and then it'll be a more powerful moment. And that's a time take. It's going to be a time-staking thing. It's going to take probably several years for it to be a real force. But it's going to take a lot of dialogue amongst the grandmasters and past grandmasters and deputies across all jurisdictions. And I think that's the starting point. I think that should be the most point that's focused on. If we really want this to happen, that's where it starts at. I yield.
Yes, sir. All right, go ahead, my brother's next.
Would that be me?
Yes, sir.
Well, this is the part of the show that I've been waiting on. One thing that the minister has always said, when people are doing you wrong, call them out. We all know that it's Prince Hall who feels this way about us. We have no problems with anyone, but when the European has told you, we only recognize you and everyone other than you is clandestine, you really don't even research that word or that statement to understand what it means. That means those who are not a part of the United Grand Lodge of England makes everyone else clandestine. But your Masonic obligation is what makes you a Mason, not some sheet of paper. It's your duty, your walk, how you carry yourself and what it is that you're doing when you say you are what you are. Some things can happen just that fast. The same way we can deposit money for a long time and run that card and it says, Chase can get you your money lickety split by the push of a finger. So what has to happen is this has to start from the hearts of the individual. See, when you are circumcised, that is the practice of a Jew, of keeping your member clean. But you have to have a circumcision of your heart to keep that larceny out of your heart. And if you don't have that, then you are not who you say you are. And as long as you have larceny, you are a thief. And if you are a thief, you will kill. It's rob, steal, and kill. And that's what has always happened. This is a self-esteem issue. It wasn't just catastrophic. This was a serious issue about us bestowing this upon the minister because they didn't do it and they didn't know how to do it because they wanted him to be a part of what the other people wanted him to be a part of. And this is about us. I'm a man, freeborn, of good report, well recommended, and I stand the same way that I came. Upright, independent, and fearless.
Yes, sir. Thank you, my brother. And go ahead, next. Who's the next up? And these are, I can imagine, I'm not from within the lodge, but these are the tough talks that have to take place if we want to unify, right?
That's right.
We can't shy away from it. These are the talks. And in the city of New Orleans, I'll just add this. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan asked us to deal with conflict resolution. And in our working to get these brothers to put these guns down, the first thing that has to be done, one of the first things, is getting people to the table. Because a lot of times in divisions and conflicts, there's no real communication that's going on. We're talking about or at one another, but not to one another. So I didn't ask the question to bring about any division or anything, but this is something that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan asked. So we got to see about how it can happen, right? So go ahead, my brother. Who we have next?
I think I'm up next, if I remember correctly.
Go ahead.
So you two questions. How can we, as the various Grand Lodges and jurisdictions, unite? And what part do we have to play individually?
Yes, sir.
At that table, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan told all of us to stand on truth. Those are not his exact words, but however, to stand on truth and to always stand on that truth regardless to whom or what. In order for the various Grand Lodges and jurisdictions to unite, which is already taken place. It's been going on for several years here in Illinois, in the various states around the country. The various Supreme departments in different jurisdictions have been working on this. The common element or cancer in all of that is the ego.
Mm-hmm.
Because all of our obligations are the same, our passwords are the same, our grips are the same. And if we use the example of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who is a perfect example of what a Mason should be, we would be able to fight through all of those little idiosyncrasies that we have. We'll be able to humble our egos and see that the collective is more important than us individually. So you have Grand Lodges here in Illinois, you have Grand Lodges in North Carolina, you have Grand Lodges in California, you have Grand Lodges in New York, and in the various cities already working together. Is there still a ways to go? Yes. You have various supreme bodies for the Royal Ark, the Cryptic degrees, the Knights Templar, the Scottish Rite degrees, trying to work together. But again, that challenge is one, the ego, and the other challenge is that little Willie Lynch that's sitting in the back of our heads, that being born and raised here in America has put in all of us. So we have to overcome that. And the only way to overcome that is to humble the egos and bow down to truth and the collective good. Now, what can I do to make that happen personally? Brother Christopher can attest to this. Brother Christopher Jackson, Brother Carlos Smith can attest to this. I have on numerous occasions worked on behalf of our various departments in creating documents and helping to establish relationships with other jurisdictions. So our Grandmaster here, Most Worshipful Brian Williams, he asked me to create treaties for various Masonic bodies that was overseas and here in the country. And we've established a relationship with those bodies. Our Brother Carlos, our first venerable lieutenant commander of our, which is second in command to our Supreme Council of the Scottish Rite, working with him and our most Houston Sovereign Grand Commander, Anthony Pugh, to help create documents for America and as well as overseas to help to start working with the various bodies. So in addition to that, our the head of our primitive rite here in the country, he's allowed me to work with him, and that's Most Illustrious Weston Jarvis. He's allowed me to work with him and help create documents and treaties to work with other primitive right bodies here in the country, to share in the work, to share in the education. So that's what I can and am doing for to help unite that. The jurisdiction that Brother Christopher Jackson is in now, the Grand Master of that jurisdiction reached out to me to help work with him on some projects. So the work is going on. There's still a challenge because we're still trying to work out all of the kinks that we all are able to keep and maintain our sovereignty and respect one another's sovereignty. But it is difficult. It's not an easy task in light of the condition that we are in as Black people here in America, but it can be done and it will be done. We just have to be persistent with it, and we have to make sure that we're being deliberate in everything that we're doing, and that whatever work that we're doing to unite the various Grand Lodges and jurisdictions, that is of pure motives. And there's no ulterior motive or secret agendas there. And even if that is the case, that will come out to the light. So I think if we just, again, in summary, humble our egos and see the greater good that Black unity represents, then we'll be able to overcome those small little idiosyncrasies that's challenging us now.
Thank you, my brother.
You're welcome.
We'll move on to our brother Tony.
Greetings. I don't know. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. First of all, greetings. Could you repeat that question? I know a lot was said and I was listening intensively.
The question is, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, according to what several of you all have said, that he expressed that the pictures and his name and his reputation be used to build a bridge of unity and more collaboration between the various Masonic lodges. So from your perspective, one, how could that be done? And two, what personal role do you see yourself playing in that?
Well, first of all, for me, I have to be the example of a Mason. Regardless of jurisdiction, I personally need to be the example of a Mason. And then secondly, show the respect to other Masons. And if they can't handle that or deal with that, then so more be. But I have to first be the example. And by being the example, hopefully, prayerfully, that may rub off on them in the process. So keep it sweet. I'm not going to add anything else to it. I do agree with Brother Christopher Jackson did have to say. I agree with him 100%. But I first have to be the example and then show the respect. And along that path, hopefully we can unite, not only as Freemasons, but as Black men.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Now we're going to go to our brother Melvin. Go ahead, Brother Melvin.
Okay. It's a really great question. And one of the things you ask is, how can it happen?
Yes, sir.
Easiest way for it to happen is for us to kind of bury old hatches. At some point, you got to look at what problems do we have? And if you look at a problem, if the problem is an old problem, it happened from something from the past, at some point, when do you say enough is enough and move on? It's like, if I keep stealing and I keep getting caught, I'm gonna spend some time in jail. So we gotta look at, say, how can this happen? It's very easy. Those that are the heads of these organizations need to be voted out. Some of them have to die or however, but when the members make a decision to say that we want to unite with our brothers, because I can tell you right now, there's a lot of Prince Hall brothers that I deal with and that I love greatly as my brother. Matter of fact, here's one right here. That's Prince Hall right there. Brother Daryl Bediako Yohase, Prince Hall. He's here supporting. And one of my Grand Lodge officers is here right now. Now, we going on the thoughts of yesterday. We can't build. But I'm talking about 2020. We are Black men, and we are also Masons. We have to unite. We have to unite. This is not an option. So we have to swallow pride and make sure that we do it by any means necessary. We know, we all heard that saying before, and I mean that, by any means necessary. And what the role I'm gonna play is every organization I know, every brother I know, I'm gonna come to them and we are working out things where we are saying, hey, we're gonna be on one accord for the mission. And the mission is what? Love, hope, faith, and charity. That's the mission. No matter what Masonic organization exists in this world, that's what we have in common. If we can focus on love, faith, hope, and charity, we're going to build from there. Anything else, it's really not that important. I got a lot of cousins that after 24 hours, you know, I'm ready for them to go home. But that don't mean I don't love them. Right. And I love them blindly. So I'm going to do my part personally to take this next year to build a coalition of a lot of organizations, because I would rather get attacked by a dog than a million bees, because they're a lot more effective.
So, Brother Melvin, quick question, because I'm not familiar. So you're saying that the two brothers that are with you, they're Prince Hall and you're not Prince Hall. I don't understand, right?
One of them is Prince Hall.
One of them is Prince Hall.
That's my grand treasure.
Okay.
CIC.
So, okay, so
right here, bro.
That's what's up, brother.
So we sitting here, and afterwards we're gonna go get something to eat. And guess what? So all the stereotypes that exist, we tearing the walls down in 2020.
Yeah, that's what's up.
The main thing I'm saying is, it may not be some of these other guys that's over these organizations that can bust the walls down. It's all right, because the bondage breaker is coming. We're gonna tear the walls down anyway.
I like that. I like that. And I know the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan would be exceedingly proud of what you all are doing. So we're gonna go. We have Brother Marcus, Brother Rashad, and Brother Arif. And hopefully I'm not leaving anybody out, right? No. Go ahead, Brother Marcus.
Assalamu alaikum, family. Something that has worked for me is what Pop said. Past Grandmaster Tony Hawkins, you have to be the example. You know, being a student of the Nation of Islam, we were taught to put a clean glass next to a dirty glass and let the people make a decision. So in saying all of that, I want to thank William T. Hill, past Grandmaster Zerubbabel Grand Lodge here in Maryland. I want to thank Brother John Brickhouse, past Grandmaster Acacia Grand Lodge. I also want to thank Brother Ronald Cole, who's the Grand Master of Highland Grand Lodge here in Maryland. And also with my family under Tony Hawkins, past Grand Master. You know, we have made every effort to try to come together. And I think we're lacking maturity. A lot of us are, to be able to settle our differences. I've mentioned to some Masons that for you to say I'm not recognized as a Mason is as silly as you telling me I can't buy my mother a Mother's Day card because we don't have the same mother, but you own the store with the card in it. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Ancient craft Freemasonry is about the unity. We're multiple ritualistic, but I think what's missing is I think a lot of us take it really too far. I don't mind you supporting your team. I don't mind you supporting that which helped you to become a better man. That's beautiful. My problem is when you allow them showing you the light to make you blind to other lights. The only one that there is of is God. Everything else can be duplicated. He cannot be. And I believe with the pain and hurt that many of us felt, that many misunderstood when they saw past Grandmaster Tony Hawkins and us when we came back from being with the Messiah a year ago, is they misunderstood what they were seeing. You don't know what it's like to be on a website and be talked about, evil spoken of, picture and everything ran through the mud. You called everything but a son of God. That hurts, man. Especially when it comes from those who look like you, sound like you, reflect like you. So I had on many fronts defended Pop. Because if you don't understand the story, why you adding to it? The example is very important. I want to give a shout out to Eagle Lodge number 8, my lodge, under the auspices of the Relic Grand Lodge of Maryland, who are constantly staying in the community. Even with the COVID being as high as it is, we got masks on, social distancing, the whole 9 yards, man. But if you don't show forth your best example, you can't expect no one else to. And at the end of the day, as Brother Christopher very eloquently stated, that's not really on us. You know, you're not at our table not because we didn't invite you. You just chose not to come. And if that is your choice, then that is your choice. But don't involve yourself in tearing me down because I represent the square at another degree that you do. I was taught by past Grand Master David Munoz of the Hispanic Grand Lodge of North America that every degree has 3 degrees in it. The first degree consists of the first, second, and third. The second degree consists of the first, second, and third. I think many of us with degrees are only on the first degree inside of each degree that we hold. We haven't gotten to the application and the life that's in the degree to really shine light on all aspects of darkness. Jesus said, I am the light of the world. So light comes in 2 degrees, ultra-red and infrared and ultraviolet, pardon me. If that's him, his word exposes that which is in the light and that which is hiding in the darkness.
Teach.
That is what he represents. And when I said to the Messiah, I believe you have the UN at your table, Freemasonry, he had a look so humbling, like he shook his head and, you know, put his head down. But our job is to stay together. I'm thankful for the idea to pull this off a year later by God's grace. I'm thankful for all of my brothers agreeing to back me because this is what's needed. We had to show a united front because we was with the Messiah. I don't know if too many people can say they spent 7 hours with the man and we had good food, you know, and we got a blessing. We got that much of his time in one setting. So as long as we keep shining the light, we'll become the clear glass. And we let those who like drinking dirty water continue until they make up their mind they want something better for themselves.
Sir, thank you, my brother. Thanks a lot. And now we come into our brother Rashad, and then we'll have Brother Abdul Arif. Brother Rashad.
Assalamu alaikum. Very briefly, after what all the brothers just stated, it's very clear. And I echo everyone's sentiment. Not to beat a dead horse. I think it all starts with ourselves. If each individual will take the time to practice their Freemasonry, then I think that it will, again, extend to other brothers, not just throughout our lodge, but other jurisdictions. I think it should start first of all with us here. As we have dialogue, we have to ensure that our lodges, our grand bodies are connecting and working together. And then I think that it will continue. I don't think that we need to talk about those individuals who don't want to become a part of the brotherhood universally and unite. I think we just need to continuously do what we've been doing. Keep the spirit alive of the minister and us uniting as Freemasons. There's no way that we can talk about the tenets of Freemasonry, which is friendship, morality, and brotherly love, and just keep it within our house. That's something that's too big. When you have a universal friendship, practice divine morality, and have unconditional brotherly love, I think that will allow us to raise the consciousness in our communities. It will help unify us as a people financially, so economically we can make changes. And some of the things that our communities are experiencing, we as Freemasons can really have an overall effect to make a difference. And I think there's powers that be that know that. Freemasonry reaches across so many lines, economically, religious, ethnic, otherwise, that people, just like in other schools of thought, kind of find walls and barriers to stop us from talking because there's so much power within the confines of the fraternity. We have to continuously push forward to knock these walls down and strive to become one. And like Brother Melvin said, we don't need to worry about what happened yesterday. We have to actually take it from this point here and move forward to unite. All we have to start first is with dialogue, recognizing each other as the brothers stated here, and we all bear witness. Our signs, passwords, and gifts are the same. Our ritualistic work really pretty much is the same. We know this. Sometimes these beefs are from old times when one jurisdiction would have with another that had nothing to do with current leadership, and we don't even know why we have the issue with the problem. But we still keeping that axe running. And like Abraham said in the time when he took the Papian of gods down to Kaaba, and they said, we found our fathers doing this. Abraham told him, he said, well, what if your father was a fool? And that's the situation here. What if those past leaders that we had in our respective jurisdictions that keep us divided was for egotistical reasons, financial reasons, foolish reasons. And now we're keeping that torchlight going, and it's further separating us as brothers to be able to make a difference in the communities that we could actually make.
Great point.
We need to be able to recognize and work with each other. It's important. Yes. Our communities are in shambles. There's no excuse except for the one you make yourself. So let's start with ourselves. Let's continuously keep the torchlight of love that what the minister represents going. It says there's a mathematical equation that says God is love. Well, if God is love and we all have the divine sparkle in ourselves, then we need to ignite it. We need to unify with other gods. We need to work together to make a difference in our community with no excuses. Let's stop making excuses on why we connect, and find the one common denominator on why we connect. And that is God. That is Freemasonry. That is the tenets of Freemasonry. So we have to put into practice what we say we know, what we say we are. We all gave our word. And in the nation is something called, have you not heard that your word should be bond regardless of whom or what?
What?
And so we can't have, we're going to run into some whoms and we're going to run into some whats, but we have to persevere. Make no excuses about it. We have to unite. Yes. And us coming together with him is showing us that it's at that time that we have no choice but to come together collectively as Freemasons for the benefit of the crowd. And with that, I yield. Peace and blessings.
Thank you, my brother. And we'll close out, brother Abdul Arif. And I got everybody, right? Everybody.
Assalamu alaikum once again. And in closing, brother Student Minister Willie, let me first thank you. I think you've done a wonderful job.
Praise be to Allah.
Your hosting and managing all of these minds, and you've done an excellent job. I wanted to just thank you for that. And I want to thank all the brothers who were on this line tonight for the purpose of reflection and reflection, as well as, I would say, recharging the spirit on a divine assignment that we were all given when we met with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan on September 28th, a year ago. On July 4th, and I would humbly ask all of my brothers, if you have not heard it yet, I would beseech you to go and listen to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's July 4th message entitled The Criterion. And we believe truly on that day, God made it known who his anointed servant was among us. As John baptized Jesus in the water, and it said Jesus came up out of the water, and the voice of God was heard saying, "This is my son, in whom I am well pleased." So please go and listen to that message on www.noi.org, because it was a divine message from on high. As the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan stated, he was bringing us a message from on high, from the Lord of the worlds. Our meeting with him is reflective in the scriptures, as we believe everything has a scriptural root. We know God is all of the degrees, comprehensive 360 degree. And we are attributes of God who are able to manifest degrees of attributes and gifts he gives to us that we hopefully can manifest them perfectly. Reflecting back on what the assignment of the minister was to those who came. He said, you had permission to use my name for the purpose of unity, but not for the purpose of division. That would seem to me a year later to remain the assignment. And since when I listened to you all on that day and listened to you all again tonight, the two words that come to mind is righteousness, do righteousness, and secondly, to give in service. And all of you in your various jurisdictions and lodges, I believe, are proponents and actors in that way. The question is, how do we come together to programmatically design what that unity looks like and what that service looks like? The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I want to give three things in closing that to me reflects what this night has brought. One is from the Holy Quran. And I want to say to all of us, as we are now living in the time of judgment, we used to read of it in the scriptures and some of us preached of it, but now we're living in it. And God has made us go into our chambers. He's made us to reassess and to look. But as we are doing that, there's a great battle going on between right and wrong, between good and evil, between God and the devil. And the lineup now, God and his representatives and the devil and his. I want to read a chapter, a surah from, ayat, pardon me, from the 8th chapter of the Holy Quran. It says, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent and Merciful, they ask thee about voluntary gifts. Say voluntary gifts are for Allah and his messenger. So keep your duty to Allah and set aright your differences and obey Allah and his messenger if you are believers. We set before the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the beautiful gift of his time and the beautiful gift of his presence was he to us and us to him. But these gifts are for the service of God. But in order to keep our duty to God, we must first set aright our differences. That's a command from God. And if we believe the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to be an anointed servant of God, then we will take to heart those commands and work with each other. The second that I want to read is from the Galatians. And it's a very powerful chapter. I think it's Galatians 3, and it is 26 to 29. It says, you are all sons of God through faith in Jesus Christ. For all of you who were baptized into Christ have clothed yourself with Christ. There's neither Jew nor Greek, slave nor free, male nor female, for you are all one in Jesus Christ. And if you belong to Christ, then you are Abraham's seed and heirs according to his promise. So regardless of our jurisdictions, regardless to the labels that we have, we are yet one in God. We are one in Christ. And if we believe that, then we will not let Satan get in between us and create artificial barriers that would make us not want to be our brothers. And I would also say in closing something that Jesus said to his disciples upon leaving them. He said these simple words, love ye one another, even as I have loved you. On September 28th, we were benefited by the love of God through his anointed service among us. And we took that love from that table, and we're back here a year later reflecting on that love, that it would recharge us and energize us once again, that we will recommit to those principles of brotherhood through our lodges, through our order, but most importantly, through knowing that all roads connect us back to the Most High. And if we keep that in mind, we'll find the path to one another. So I thank you again, and certainly I think it would be in good order for one of our, any of our brothers, Christian brothers who would like to close out in prayer when we are done, if that's okay, Brother Willie or Brother Marcus. Thank you.
Brother Melvin wanted to share some brief words before we close out, and I just make some announcements. But Brother Melvin, before you do that, for those who are watching this on Facebook, can you please leave some comments, because it got up almost to almost 90 some people. Can you leave some comments? What has stood out to you in this discussion? What has resonated with you? If you can leave some comments in the comment section, I will greatly appreciate that. And the brothers, leave some comments. What did you gain from this discussion? Go ahead, Brother Melvin.
First off, Brother Willie Muhammad, if I can speak for everyone here, I want to tell you thank you. I think you did a fantastic job commentating, dealing with all these different personalities all at the same time. So I think you did a great job. And lastly, yeah, we really appreciate you. And lastly, Brother Don Enoch, the man behind the scenes. That man is the man. He's the greatest known unknown. He's the man that makes it happen. I'll just say that. He's the greatest known unknown. And if I'm speaking for us all, thank you, Don. We love you. We appreciate everything you did to make this happen and make this continue on. You can see your growth from your good works. But thank you, Brother Willie Muhammad. We really do appreciate you. Did a fantastic job.
Appreciate you all. And once again, before we close, for those in the comment section, please leave some comments. And for each and every one of you all, brothers, I want to thank you for your time. You all are grown men, and grown men have responsibilities, but nonetheless, you all are here. So I want to thank you, my brothers, for being here and your time to participate in this. And I will close with, I know several people mentioned ego, and I pulled up this quote from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and he said this, and I think you all are reflective. I think you all are reflective of this. The minister says, and I quote, "I think the ego-driven leaders will be a thing of the past because the masses are tired." And you all are here, and you all were there last year and a whole year later because you all, as all of you talked about, you want unity. And I think if you look at this, as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan talked about the historic Million Man March, he said, if we went back and studied that march, we can find principles that we can use to produce peace within our community, our homes, and our organizations. And I believe the same, looking from the outside. I wasn't at the meeting. You all are an example of the unity that which the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan expressed that he would want to hear, he wants to see. So you all have the principles to be able to bring this to the other brothers, and you all shared about what could be done. And lastly, just know that as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches, trying to produce unity among us is something of very great value. It's very great value, right? So as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, that anything of value has a difficulty factor attached to it. So just because it's difficult does not mean that we should give up. The difficulty is a sign of the great value. So our brother, as we get ready to close, our brother, the Grand Master Carlos Smith, he's accepted the offer. He's going to close us out in prayer and as a Christian brother, because we want to do it. We open up as a Muslim, as a Christian, because even in the Muslim and Christian thing, we got to unify and let also this be an example of this. So thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you all. And we're going to bring up our brother, Brother Carlos Smith. You ready, Brother Carlos? Let me get you off of mute. There you go.
Good thing to say, Brother Carlos is a Christian. He's not a Muslim.
Everybody, please bow your heads. Loving God, I pray that you will comfort us in our suffering. Please lend skill to the hands of our healers, Lord.
Yes, sir.
Bless the means used for our cures. Give us confidence in the power of your grace that even when we are afraid going forward, Lord, we will put our whole trust in you.
Yes, sir.
Because we know you are our Savior. You say when there are three or more, Lord, you will bless them. You will be in their midst, Lord. But right now we have more than three, Lord.
Yes, sir.
So please double our blessings, Lord, abundantly. I ask of all in this in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you all, brothers, and may God continue to bless you all and keep it up. God bless.
God bless.
Peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Thanks so much.